Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always a pleasure to talk about Sunstone. Standard disclaimer. And let's dive straight in, investment highlights, and then I'll talk about the projects that we've currently got on the books and currently active. So, as Andrew just said, great introduction. We certainly consider ourselves to be undervalued, market capitalisation of a little under $40 million. We've got liquid equity and cash assets that are in the range $18 to $20 million, dominated by our shareholding in NASDAQ Stockholm listed Copperstone Resources, which we acquired through the sale of an asset that we used to hold in Sweden. But that is liquid. Last time I spoke here, that was still under escrow, but now it's out of escrow, and we've actually sold a few of those shares to fund our work. So we certainly don't expect to go back to market anytime soon. So that gives a see-through value, if you like, or an enterprise value for our activities in Ecuador of less than $20 million. And hopefully by the end of my presentation, you'll realise that certainly they are undervalued. So we own 87.5% of a project called Bramaderos in the southern part of Ecuador. That is a project that has outcropping porphyry mineralisation. We've drilled a few holes into it over the last 2 years. We have a much better handle now on what needs to be done going forward, and we expect to commence a drill hole into the porphyry targets prior to the end of the year. But in addition to that, there's epithermal gold, silver, polymetallic systems. Our concession actually sits right next door to a concession held by another Australian company, Titan Minerals, and that's a 2 million ounce gold epithermal field. So we're actually actively drilling on that Espiritu epithermal target of ours right now as we speak. The interest in Bramaderos was earned through a joint venture. It was earned with a company called Cornerstone Capital Resources. They're a Toronto-listed company. Some of you may be familiar with them. They're the minority partner in the Cascabel project with SolGold. We're also, and we announced this a month or two ago, we've entered into an agreement to acquire 100% of a porphyry project called El Palmar, which is in the northern part of Ecuador and up in the area close to Cascabel, close to Lurimagua, both multi-billion ton deposits. And this project has come to us through our network in Ecuador. It's currently held by a highly regarded retired geologist. And so he's partnered with us, and we will acquire 100% of that project over time. And then, as I said at the outset, we own about 24% of NASDAQ Stockholm listed Copperstone Resources. And that is something that we can leverage to undertake all this growth that's happening in Ecuador. So why are we optimistic? Well, our vision is to build a gold copper discovery company with a focus on Ecuador. The people at Sunstone have been involved in Ecuador since 2008 in various other companies, one of which was SolGold. So we know what we're doing in Ecuador. We certainly think we can build a significant company based on the projects that we've got. And we're looking at other projects as well. Opportunities present themselves to us. So I guess the opportunity for investors is to participate in discovery. And as we all know, discovery at our end of the market is what really adds value. Bramaderos I've talked about. We've undertaken phase 1. We're about to enter a phase 2 exploration program. Also, we have the epithermal gold, silver, polymetallic target. I'll talk a bit about that. El Palmar I'll mention. Great project. It's had 3 drill holes and they've intersected a porphyry system, so we know it's there. And Ecuador is a very good country to be, and I'll talk a little about Ecuador. Look, they're managing the coronavirus pandemic as every country is, but they have a real commitment to build a significant mining sector, and all the majors are in the country. They're in there with a long-term view, and it's a very good country to operate in. And fortunately for us, the team that I work with has a track record of discovery. We've done this before and we plan to do it again. So just a very brief snapshot. I've touched on this at the first point, but market cap of around $40 million, liquid investments there of close to 20, and so that's valuing our project activities in Ecuador at about 20. The board and management have participated in virtually every placement that we've undertaken in the last 6 years, so we certainly have skin in the game and are aligned with all of our shareholders. So Ecuador, they're managing the coronavirus pandemic. We're actively drilling at the moment. We're on site. We've got a very controlled site. We undertake a lot of COVID testing. We manage people coming in and out. We rent a facility for our people to stay in. So it's all very well managed, and credit to the Ecuadorian team and credit to our management team here in Brisbane that have implemented such a good system and allowing us to get on with work. Mining and exploration in Ecuador, it's considered an essential industry, so the government is very supportive of us getting back to work, employing people, supporting the local stakeholders, so long as it's safe to do so. And we'll see that with many other companies. Those that are operating have resumed operation. Those that are exploring, a number of them are drilling. And as I said, the majors, the BHP, Codelco, Anglo American, Newcrest, Hancock, Fortescue, they're all in Ecuador. They all want a position in what will become a very significant gold copper producing country. So that just gives you a snapshot of the country. You can see a number of deposits distributed through the Andean Cordillera there and off to the southeast. You can see Bramaderos, our project in the south, in amongst a number of other deposits, and El Palmar in the north, as I said, not far from Cascabel and Lurimagua. Fruta del Norte is Ecuador's first modern underground gold mine operated by Lundin Gold. They're operating. They're doing a wonderful job, and that's really setting the scene for the future mining industry in Ecuador. Mirador, open pit porphyry deposit also being mined. They're shipping concentrate, and then a number of other deposits that you're familiar with, Cascabel, Cangrejos, Lurimagua. They're all sort of heading down that feasibility study development path. Our commitment to the local stakeholders in the vicinity of Bramaderos and El Palmar is very significant. Obviously, we've been at Bramaderos longer, and so we have a very strong relationship with the locals. We undertake a lot of environmental monitoring. It's part of our license to operate, if you like, as an exploration company. We also help local people where we can, and this has been particularly a case during the coronavirus pandemic. We've distributed food packages to some of the locals when otherwise they were facing some pretty difficult times. That's been very well received. We've got a substantial plant nursery, and we've distributed many plants to all the local farmers and local households that have been cultivated in our nursery. So we're certainly positioning ourselves within the community, and we certainly appreciate their support. So let's look at the project. So that's our concession, and you can see the epithermal corridor I've marked there, which extends down to the southwest into the 2 million ounce Dynasty Goldfield. So we're exploring within our concession for epithermal gold silver and porphyry gold copper. I'll go through each of those. So first of all, to the epithermals, because that's what we're drilling right now. So this image shows you a distribution of silver in soils. So you can see there are some areas where there's more than others. But we've also identified multiple targets that have a signature similar to the area we're drilling now. So if our drilling delivers good results, and we're optimistic that it will, then we embark on a program of testing another dozen or so targets. So this is the area we're exploring now, Espiritu, and we're following up on initially what was a historical single rock chip. That's how this started. Just one of our technicians sampled a single rock and got anomalous gold and silver, and then we've built the story up from there. Then we undertook some trenching and delivered some pretty significant results. As you can see there, a 20-metre interval of highly anomalous gold, silver, lead, zinc, and within that, 4 metres that's running highly significant gold, silver, lead, zinc mineralisation. So that's what we're trying to follow. We put out an ASX announcement today with some photographs of the drill core. I was hoping to be able to stand up here today with some assay results, but like many companies, those assay results are taking a bit longer at the moment than we would like because laboratories are busy. The exploration industry is booming worldwide. So those assay results will come through in November, so keep an eye out for those. So this is the more detailed look at where we're drilling. This shows you the drill holes that have been completed and those that are planned. And the sort of thing we're looking for here are these narrow intervals. So the 4 metres at 400 grams of silver, nearly a gram of gold, 13% lead and zinc combined. We're chasing those sorts of intervals at depth. This is what the core looks like. So we don't know whether there's any gold and silver in it, but we can see lead and zinc in it. We can see galena and sphalerite. So we know that's there, and we know from our surface sampling that that has an association with gold and silver. So that's why we're optimistic. But let's wait for the results during November. But the rocks look fantastic. They're brecciated, they're altered, they're carrying mineralisation. We're feeling pretty bullish about this. So if we talk now about the porphyry targets, we've got 6, we've drilled 2 of them, we've got another 4 we're working up. But the one that we've drilled most holes into, Brahma, we will go back there and drill at least 1 more hole this year and then work from there. But what happened was we went back last year and we did more detailed geophysics. That gave us a significant insight into the geometry of what we already know is mineralised rock. I'll quickly skip over this. This is what we're looking for. So there's a number of deposits that are similar to this. Red Chris in Canada, Cadia in New South Wales. These deposits are running around 0.6 gold, 0.2 copper. So they're the grades that we're looking at. So they give about a 0.75 to 0.8 gold equivalent copper grade. Obviously, with a large open pit, large tonnage, that's a very attractive target. So this is Brahma. The significant thing about Brahma is that we did a surface trench over the outcropping porphyry, and that delivered 600 metres at 0.5 gold, 0.11 copper. So again, going back to Red Chris and Cadia, similar grades, outcropping at surface, we know it's there, it's mineralised. We've drilled a few holes and we've got intervals of similar grade, but they weren't as thick as what we're expecting. So again, we went back to basics. If we have a look at this cross-section, those are the drill holes. So they're delivering things like, 170 at those same grades, 55 metres at some slightly higher grades, 250 metres at similar grades. So it's there, but we're expecting thicker intersections. So we said, why are we getting this sort of result? On its own, it's a pretty good scale. So we're looking at something that's 250 metres wide, in excess of 500 metres tall, and we haven't yet drilled the base of these things. So we went back, we looked at all the drill data. This is a 3D image that shows a gold wireframe. So we took our gold data, put it into a 3-dimensional model, and the red is greater than 0.4 grams of gold. We're not counting the copper in this just yet. This is just gold. And this was to build a geometry. We then extended that through to the surface, and you can see there's 3 areas on that map that have higher gold grades than the others. So it's looking like 3 chimneys. We then matched that with our 3-dimensional magnetic modelling from our more detailed work, and you can see the correlation is fantastic. It's an incredible correlation, and it identifies a number of areas, quite a few areas that we haven't yet drilled. And so that's what we're going in to test between now and the end of the year. If that delivers success, then again, we have multiple of these chimneys, if you like, to test. Looking at the scale, that's 1 kilometre. So these are really big targets, clustering several chimneys together. Okay, so that's Brahma. Let's go to the north of Ecuador now, talk very briefly about El Palmar. You can see the project there on the bottom of that graphic. It's a long structural grain from Cascabel, the multi-billion-tonne deposit discovered by SolGold, and it's just to the west of Lurimagrua, which is another 1 billion-tonne deposit. So we're pretty excited by this project. It's on this thing called the Toachi Fault, and that fault taps deep into the earth, probably a mantle tapping fault, and that is what channels fluids up to form porphyry systems. Now, we're also excited about this because Codelco drilled some holes here back in 2012. You can see 3 drill holes on that image. And that graphic is showing the drill holes and then the surface anomalism. You can see on the legend there what that is. Those drill holes we think drilled somewhat parallel to mineralisation rather than across it, so it didn't necessarily give a good view. They've got copper and gold in them, they've got porphyry mineralisation. So if we have a look at Alpala, which is the Cascabel deposit, which we're very familiar with from our time at SolGold in the early days during the discovery, we're showing the same colours there of the surface expression of Alpala, but that image in the back, the pink and yellow one, is what Alpala looks like a kilometre below surface. So the ore body you can see is trending off to the northwest. So it's easy to miss when you're drilling holes parallel to that, which is what Codelco did. So that shows the surface expression, and that shows the depth of that ore body a kilometre below. So for that reason, we're bullish. What we do now is we go in and do ground geophysics, we do magnetics, we build the geometry of this one as we did at Brahma with a 3D model, and go into drilling. And we'll be drilling, we hope, first quarter next year. So that's the story of Sunstone. What's ahead of us? Drilling at Espiritu, epithermal, silver gold polymetallic. Results, we're expecting assays to come through this month. We're feeling bullish about Espiritu, so we expect to keep drilling there from what we've seen geologically. Brahma, we expect to commence a hole between now and the end of the year. El Palmar, initial exploration this year, drilling early next year. And I should say the Ecuadorian team on site are performing very well, given that we haven't been able to travel over there, and they're implementing this work very efficiently. Thank you for your time. I'll be around for any questions, or questions now if I have them, I guess. Thank you.
Thanks, Malcolm. Yeah, that was great. That actually looks pretty exciting, some of that core. Now, I do have some questions from somewhere around the globe. First one is, can you please comment on the current political situation in Ecuador and any issues in terms of the local communities? You may have already covered a little bit, but...
Yeah, I touched a little bit on that. I mean, we have a very good relationship with our community at Bramaderos, and we employ a lot of people. We provide support where we can and where it makes sense. And in return for that, the community's been very supportive. El Palmar, early days, we've got our community team in there at the moment. They're talking with the community, and so, so far so good. Politically, mining will be a political football between now and next February, because next February is a presidential election. So mining, of course, will be one of the issues that people support, one of the issues that people oppose. But Ecuador has demonstrated so far that it acknowledges that mining has to play a significant role in the growth of the economy. The oil industry that they've relied on historically has not performed well in recent times. So mining is a part of Ecuador's future. It will be a political football, but I'm sure it will get the support it needs.
Terrific, thank you. And now another one. Now, it might be a bit early, I guess, but based on what you're seeing in the drill core at Espiritu, the photos you showed us, do you think you will have an economic proposition here?
Yeah, too early to say, but we're drilling it to deliver that. I mean, that's why we're there. That's why we're exploring. That's why we're drilling it. Look, we could have drilled it and found altered rock, but not much more, you know? So the fact that we've drilled it, we've got veining, we've got sphalerite and galena, which are the sulfide minerals of lead and zinc in the core, makes us feel optimistic. We're continuing to drill, so that tells you something. You know, we haven't stopped drilling, waiting for assays.
Brilliant. Well, I have no more questions at this stage, so thank you very much, Malcolm, and please feel free to tap Malcolm on the shoulder if you do have a question.